Hey everyone, and welcome to What Did I Miss Plus, where today I'm going to break down the 4th episode of the CW series Superman and Lois. If this is your first time here, my name is Eric, and on this channel I go over all kinds of different superhero properties, and I'll be coming out with videos soon about the new Snyder Cut Justice League movie and the first episode of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier right here. So hit that subscribe button if you want to know when those come out. Also, this is a brand new channel that is in addition to my main channel, where I talk more about science fiction stuff, so if you want to check those out too, I will have links in the description. In this video, I will go over the episode titled Haywire, which dropped a few big references to the history of Superman and Supergirl, and may give us some hints as to where the season's story and villains are headed. I also thought that this was another strong episode, and was able to balance the real-life drama of raising 2 kids in high school while having a father that is the most powerful force for good on the planet. Tyler Hoechlin delivers another strong performance, and I think that the chemistry between him and Elizabeth Tulloch, who plays Lois Lane, is getting better as well. Being a man in his 40s, I can definitely empathize with seeing a man who loves his family but still can't make it back to dinner because of work, even if Clark is saving the world and I'm just finishing up the cover page on my TPS report. This is always more fun when I hear what you think, so let me know in the comments if you like this episode and if you like where the season is headed so far. Alright, so let's break down the 4th episode of Superman and Lois. The episode starts with a flashback to 6 years earlier, and we see Morgan Edge with a military escort. At first it seems like they are under attack, but then when they stop we see that there are glowing red balls falling from the sky, possibly meteors. The one he finds looks like it contains something inside, and at first I thought this may have been the origin of Morgan Edge's assistant Leslie Larr, who is playing a character from Krypton that I explained in my last video, and I will put that in the description of this video if you want to see it. But given the scale, it looks too small to be a person, and at the time I thought it might have been a piece of red kryptonite. Red kryptonite has been shown in virtually every incarnation of Superman to date, and instead of the green version that weakens and can kill Kryptonians, red kryptonite makes them evil. Morgan Edge says the words, "Now the resurrection begins," which leaves open a lot of possibilities, but put into context with what we learn at the end of the episode, I think that it makes a little more sense, and when we discuss that revelation, I will circle back to this. We then see Morgan Edge at the Smallville Crows football game, and he seems to take an interest in Lana Lang. Lois notices him and thinks that he is there to make face with the rest of the town, but honestly, I think he is there to spy on Lois and her family, as we learn that he is definitely interested in her as she is interested in him. Jordan gets in the game and makes the big play and wins it. I have theorized in prior videos that Jordan's powers are triggered by how close he is to his brother. This would explain why when Clark took him to the Fortress of Solitude, that the AI tells him that Jordan doesn't have power. When Sam Lane, Lois's father, figures out that Jordan has powers, he confronts the Kents about it. I think that his argument with them is very telling, when he states that he is the one keeping the US Army from being scared of Superman. I think instead that he's actually dealing with the two sides of himself. The military side of him sees Superman as a weapon and is scared of what he's capable of, but the side of him that is Lois's father is trying to believe that Clark is a decent husband and father himself. Throughout the episode we learn that Lois does not think much of Sam as a father, which will no doubt make him lean towards being afraid of Clark and send him down a dark path, one which I think he takes a few big steps toward in this episode. Sam also brings up a group known as Intergang. They are also prominent in the history of Superman comic books and at various times are under the leadership of Morgan Edge. They are your standard evil mob organization, and they are usually interested in alien weaponry, which is no doubt what Morgan Edge was looking for in that flashback early in the episode. Sam also name drops the villain Thaddeus Kilgrave, who is nowhere near as cool as the villain Killgrave in the Marvel Universe. In the comics, Thaddeus Kilgrave is shown to be an evil genius that suffers from dwarfism and also works for Intergang. And is it just me, or does he look like a ripoff of Doc Ock from Spider-Man? I think that may be why they changed his appearance for the series, as he looks more like his creator, John Byrne. Intergang does have some cool characters, so I wonder who else we will see on the series, as I bet eventually we will meet someone named Bruno Mannheim, who is the man controlling Intergang when Morgan Edge is not. Intergang was mentioned in passing a couple of times on the Arrowverse, but on Supergirl, a version of Metallo was said to be working for them, so perhaps this is another character we could see soon. I think that Intergang could be a persistent big bad for the series, and even the company Morgan Edge runs is called Intercorp, an obvious reference to the organization. At dinner, Edge seems very interested in Lana. As I have also mentioned before, there are times in the past when Lana gets powers and takes up the mantle of Superwoman, and I wonder if the show is going to eventually give her powers as well. At dinner, Morgan Edge name drops Stanhope College, which is in the DC Comics universe, and there was a comic book tie-in series to the Supergirl CW series that stated that Kara Danvers went to Stanhope as well. His line to her about helping people achieve their best selves is no doubt a big hint as to his master plan, but I immediately thought of Pedro Pascal from Wonder Woman 1984 when he said it. We also see that Tag Harris, who broke his arm during the bonfire earlier this season, starts to develop superhuman abilities as his arm vibrates. I noticed that this happened after he was reminiscing about his days on the football field before his injury, and that along with Edge stating that he helps people achieve their best selves makes me think that getting powers has something to do with what people want the most. Then we get to meet Thaddeus Kilgrave as he organizes his escape. Intergang is there as well, as we see them easily easily remove him from custody. I thought this scene was pretty cool and definitely sets up this villain as more of a threat than he is in the comics. At football practice, we see that Tag Harris is still showing signs of powers, and eventually his cast explodes. It is also interesting that Jordan feels like he is the reason for this, and it sets up that Jordan understands the responsibility of having these powers. Before Clark can deal with it, he is called off to the prisoner escape. This sets up the theme of the episode, which is that Clark cannot be in all the places that he needs to be at once. Again, I love how this series sets up issues that everyone goes through, but within this fantastical narrative, and it is really when the show shines above the rest of the CW Arrowverse. When Sam Lane calls for Superman, he calls him Bishop 6. This is a really cool reference that could have awesome ramifications for this universe, but Bishop 6 is usually what Superman is known as to Task Force X. Not so much the Amanda Waller-led group that goes by the name the Suicide Squad, but a different group led by a character named King Faraday. Faraday also had strong connections to the Martian Manhunter in the comic books, so we'll be curious to see if they reference either Task Force X or Faraday. Kilgrave also refers to Superman as Big Blue, and the Big Blue Boy Scout is a nickname that has been bestowed on Superman over the years. Eventually, Kilgrave lures Superman into a showdown and he uses a sonic blaster gun against him. Sound is often used against Superman, but I really like the detail in the series that you can see the effect it is having on Clark. While this is going on, Tag Harris seems to be vibrating out of control, and Jordan and Jonathan try to help him. Since Jordan feels like Tag is in this condition because of him, he tries to help him and gets thrown off of him by accident. Superman is able to subdue Kilgrave, race away to save the boys, and lift Tag away and get him help. Afterwards, the boys ask the General about Tag, and the General says that he believes that Tag got his powers from Jordan combined with something that happened at the mine, and that he is now in a special school for kids with powers. DC does have Teen Titan Academy, but that was just introduced in the comics recently, and I doubt that the writers of the show would have known about it when they written this episode. But it's interesting that they do drop this in this episode, in case both boys do end up getting powers and have to go there eventually. We also see Clark create a romantic night for him and Lois, and I thought that it was funny that Jordan almost couldn't get her to the barn because she kept asking questions like an investigative reporter would do. Time and time again, these little additions show how much the writers understand these characters. At the end of the episode, we get two big hints as to where the season is going for some of our characters. First, after General Lane calls Superman, he then calls someone named Rossetti and tells him to start a contingency plan named Project 7734. I went over this in detail in my last video if you want to check it out, but basically in the comics, Project 7734 is created by General Lane as a xenophobic safeguard against extraterrestrial threats. We saw that he was given a dog tag with Superman's emblem on one side and 7734 on the other by Colonel Luthor earlier this season, as Luthor recognized Lane. At first I thought that Luthor was from another universe, but after the events of this episode, I think that Luthor is actually from the future. It seems that with Lane starting Project 7734 now, that Luthor created a paradox when he gave him the dog tag in the earlier episode. So whatever Earth we see in Luthor's vision is actually this planet, and brings the implication that this version of Superman will eventually go bad. We also see that Morgan Edge has found something in the mines he now owns, and using the same technology as we saw him use in the flashback, he finds an abundance of X-Kryptonite. In the comic books, X-Kryptonite is actually created by Supergirl in an attempt to combat the effects of green kryptonite, but instead it gave her dog the powers of a Kryptonian, and I'm guessing that it will give humans those same powers on this series. This seems to be what Morgan Edge would like to use it for, but he mentions that he wants to resurrect warriors, as he did 6 years ago, so I wonder if this version has the power to raise the dead as well. This could mean that we could see a version of Bizarro on the series, which is like a zombified reverse version of Superman. Well, that is everything I saw, but you let me know, what did I miss? Remember, this is a new channel, so if you're used to watching these videos on the main channel, remember to hit that subscribe button here so you do not miss these going forward. Also, if you did enjoy this video and would like to help out the channel, all you have to do is hit that like button. Thank you so much for clicking on this video, and I will see you next time on What Did I Miss?